Hey, what's up everyone? It's Jay Dreamers, and I'm going to go over blood over intent and blood contracts and hit some more of the fine points this time. First of all, what is blood over intent? It's a movement on YouTube, for the most part, where people are writing out positive statements of intentions that they would like to see happen in their lives and on Earth, and they're signing it in their blood, usually pricking their finger or sometimes drawing blood from other body parts. Now, when we think of a blood contract, for the most part, it is associated with contracts made with the devil, or contracts made within the Illuminati, or blood contracts, for me, are never associated with making a contract with some sort of a positive entity or God or angels, or you know what I mean. It's usually delegated to an agreement made where something's signed in blood. Either it's like something very, very serious, or it's an agreement between a person and some sort of a negative energetic being. Now, I just want to talk to you about the simplicity of signing your name in blood. It's really very simple. Why do people sign their name in blood? You know, why not sign your name with a pen or a pencil or what have you? Basically, blood connects whatever statement that was made, or agreement or promise. It connects those words to a unique DNA strand or a code that's in our DNA. And it identifies the individual person who's basically endorsing what it is that was written. So it's like a very high-tech, signature, because every DNA strand is unique. So in my opinion, it has a lot less to do with like magical properties of blood, and it has a lot more to do with an identifying factor, being that is your blood. It's no one else's blood. It cannot be mistaken that was you that agreed to the foregoing terms. The blood acts as an identifier, a signature, a mark, or a witness to whoever is endorsing what's written. So basically, in the blood over intent movement, the person who is spearheading blood over intent says that everyone needs to sign their name in blood, and they need to publish this, they need to record it and publish it to the internet. Now, according to blood contracts, publishing it to the internet does not do anything, because the whole purpose of blood, like I said, is to act as an identifier at the smallest level in the DNA. So a person that watches a video and says, okay, well, here's what was written and there's the blood, there's the identifier, well, they can't examine it. It can't undergo any kind of study, so you can't link that blood to whoever actually wrote it, even if they're in the video. I mean, the blood is basically there for symbolism. So blood contracts are only viable in physical form. They're not viable online. They're not viable over the internet. You have to have actual physical blood present for it to be viable. Now, I'm not a huge fan of it, particularly because I understand that blood that is moving in my body through my veins and constantly being regenerated and is in constant contact with my personal energies is blood that's alive. It's blood that has power to it. It's blood that grows and moves, and it's alive. Now, when you spill your blood and it leaves your body, it starts to die. It's basically dead and dying blood. And to me, that's a huge red flag and a huge indicator that something's not quite right. Another red flag for me is this is something that the Illuminati do. They make blood contracts. Negative powers make blood contracts. And I'm going to tell you why I think there's no need to make a blood contract. And it has to do with the power of the will of the spirit. So what people are doing online is called blood over intent. And I think intent is the key word, not blood. A person's spirit has a will to it. A person's spirit can attract, it can will itself to do whatever it wants to do. And it doesn't need permission to do this. All it needs is its own decision on its own accord to decide to do it, to decide to go in that direction, to decide to focus on one thing or another. Actions are followed by thoughts. So first you have a thought and it leads to an action, not the reverse. First you have the invisible and it leads to the visible. First you have the will of the Spirit and it leads to manifestation of whatever the will of the Spirit is. So it seems to me like people have it backwards. People are doing this backwards. You see, the action of spilling your blood and writing out a contract should not lead to some sort of enlightenment or awakening. But it is the invisible intent, it's the invisible will of the Spirit that should lead us to action, to thinking differently, to seeing differently, to actually going out and making changes in our lives and in the world. Now, I realize that some people are doing this as a motivator. Some people need something to motivate them. Some people need something physical, a symbol to look to be inspired and encouraged. And sometimes this involves a person encouraging and inspiring themselves by sacrificing something or sort of, like forcing themselves to acknowledge it. And in this way, it sort of acts as a placebo effect. So a person doing blood over intent could actually do it, and then they would be happy that they have done something, and so maybe they would continue on with whatever promise they made. You know what I mean? But originally it starts in here. It doesn't start by pricking your finger or cutting yourself or any of that. It doesn't start by writing anything down. All of these things start invisibly. They start with a thought. They start with the will of the Spirit. So some people in this awakening that's going on, right? I've noticed it, and I know you guys have noticed it. There is an awakening. There are so many people that are just waking up to new ideas, to new ways of life, to spirituality, to love and compassion and kindness and truth, most importantly. So many of us who first experience this, it's like we hear the call. We hear that call and we're like, oh my gosh, something incredible is happening. Something amazing is going on. It seems to me that our conditioned response to that, based on the world we've been living in, is to start looking for somebody to give us answers. To start looking for somebody to tell us what we need to do next. What's the next step? Someone tell me. And I would encourage everyone to reject the desire to go find someone to follow, or find someone to listen to, or find someone to instruct you and give you instructions on what the next step is or things you must start doing in your life. Because this call, you heard the call. The call didn't come from somebody out there. The call came from inside of you. You woke yourself up. Nobody else woke you up. And because you woke yourself up, that still small voice inside of you, somehow you heard it. And that is what you should listen to. Listen to yourself. Start to become in tune with yourself. You don't need to prove that you heard a call. You don't need to prove that you're awakening. You don't need to prove that you're a good person or that you have good intentions. It will naturally prove itself. It'll naturally happen as a byproduct of what's going on in here. There's no need for a contract to be written. There's no need to write down intentions. Now you can, if you want to, if it makes you feel good, but there's no power in it. The power is inside of you. The power is in your spirit and the will of your own spirit. So, instead of writing out a contract, symbolically, it seems to me that words are being written on our heart, on our soul, on our spirit. The contract, before you could ever write it down, was already inside of you. It was already up here. There's no need to write it down so that you can have a few symbols representing what's already going on. It's already happening, whether you write it down or not. You've heard it. You feel it. You want desperately to follow it. So follow the words that are written on your heart. I'm Jay Dreamers, and I hope this has helped.